Hey friends, in this video we're diving into the food scene at Khamin, the resort restaurant at Villa Zolitude in Chalong, Phuket. From vibrant breakfasts to flavor-packed dinners, there's a lot to dig into at this lovely spot. So let's talk about Khamin, the main restaurant at Villa Zolitude, tucked away in the peaceful hills of Chalong, Phuket. For the first stretch of our stay here in Thailand, we found ourselves indulging here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was just steps away from our villa, and too convenient, and may I say, very delicious, to pass up. We'll be showing you everything that we tried during our time here in this video, and if you're curious about the resort itself, don't worry. We're saving that for our final Thailand video, and that will be coming up next, so stay tuned for that. This was our first meal in Thailand. Right after a long travel day and a much-needed nap to recover, we headed over to Khamin to fill our bellies. And we were delighted to learn that most of the meals here start with a serving of fresh bread and Australian butter, with both salted and unsalted as options. Mike's a big margarita guy, so the moment he saw it on the menu, it was an easy choice for him. I went with a classic mojito because you can't really go wrong there. Both of the drinks were made perfectly and set the tone for the rest of our meals here. Mike and I have had some pretty bad luck finding great spring rolls back in Canada, so when we saw them on the menu here, we had a good feeling that these might actually hit the mark, and boy oh boy did they not disappoint. These were hands down the best spring rolls we had during our entire time in Thailand. After this first experience, we even mentioned in previous videos that we made it our mission to try spring rolls everywhere else we went just to compare, and this one stayed firmly in the #1 spot. Perfectly crispy, not greasy, and absolutely bursting with flavor. These get handmade fresh with every order, something we actually learned later on in our stay. You can even take a cooking class right here at the resort to learn how to make them yourself, but we'll touch more on that in our next video. For Mike's main, he went with the Thai fried rice with chicken, and everybody please take a moment to appreciate how he's holding his fork. It was day 1 of learning basic life skills in Thailand apparently, so everybody let's just give him some slack. Anyways, the rice itself was cooked to the perfect texture with a salty soy-based sauce that really hit the spot. The fried egg on top was just alright, he's had better, but the yolk did add a nice creaminess that tied everything together. You could definitely tell it was cracked fresh, which was a nice touch. For my main, I just had to try a Thai take on a margarita pizza. They served it with a side of ketchup, which was unexpected, but kind of fun. The pizza was fairly greasy, which made it quite floppy, but it was super thin, which really let all the flavors shine through. The sauce had a pleasant sweetness, and the oil did add a lot of flavor, although it did sit pretty heavy on my stomach. On our second visit to Khamin, Mike grabbed his go-to margarita again, and I decided to try a Mai Tai. I think Mike maybe liked my drink a bit more than I did, but this was actually my first time having a Mai Tai, so it was a nice introduction and very tasty overall.
My margarita was better.
If you say so. Of course we had to get those amazing spring rolls again, they seriously blew us away, but for my main I went with Phuket crab curry, made with yellow curry paste, coconut milk, betel leaves, and loaded with fresh crab served with vermicelli noodles. The curry was rich and creamy, bursting with fresh flavors, but it hit me with a ton of heat, like a full-on assault in my mouth. Thailand does not mess around with their spice levels. Honestly, this dish probably would have been better with rice because the noodles didn't soak up that curry or help tone down the fucking heat. Still, it was so damn delicious. For Mike's main, he decided to copycat my previous meal and went with a pizza too. The Diavola pizza. It's basically a Thai take on a pepperoni pizza, but loaded with insanely hot chilies. Can I not speak, my dude? Just like mine, it came out very greasy in the best way though, super floppy, and served with a side of ketchup because why not? And absolutely packed with flavor. Mike was obsessed with the taste and it was a total flavor bomb, but we were both sweating by the end of these meals. On our third trip to Khamin, Mike once again decided to copycat me.
I'll just go myself, bud?
Okay, thought this time he got the crab curry with rice, which, like I said before, was gonna make a huge difference, and it did. The rice helped soak up all that rich, spicy curry, toning down the heat just enough to make it more enjoyable. Still spicy, don't get me wrong, but that was way more manageable with the rice. This was also Mike's official introduction to crab, and he was fully on board with it. I decided to switch it up and I got the pad see ew.
Which was ew!
Honestly, yeah, it was made with flat rice noodles, soy sauce and veggies, but I gotta be honest here, it just wasn't for me. I can be kind of a texture girl and these noodles just did not pass the vibe. The flavor felt kind of flat and I just wasn't feeling it, you know? Unfortunately, I just didn't end up eating much of it. I kind of had to pass on that. On our fourth trip to Khamin, we kicked things off with some drinks. I went for a passion fruit spritz, which ended up being my absolute favorite cocktail from this spot. It was super tangy, sweet, and very refreshing. For Mike's main, he went with the club sandwich. This was loaded with lettuce, bacon, smoked chicken, came with a fried egg and cheddar cheese, served with a side of french fries. It was a nice classic meal. Mike forgot to say no tomatoes, which worked out just fine for me. But these fries were actually a pleasant surprise. They were not greasy at all, which is rare but welcomed, and they were seasoned with a really nice mix of herbs and spices. As for the sandwich, the biggest letdown was the bread. It was just too soft, which we've realized is a bit of a trend here in Thailand. They don't really toast the bread much. Still, the flavors inside more than made up for it. It was exactly what he needed at this point in the trip. No heat, no frills, just a good, satisfying bite. For my main, I went with the spaghetti aglio and olio. This was a simple dish, but those chilies just don't play around. I ended up stealing the tomatoes Mike tossed aside from his sandwich just to try and cool things down a bit. And even though there weren't many chilies in this dish, it really only took one to hit me with a full-on heat punch. This dish was simple, spicy, and a bit of a roller coaster on the taste buds, but I really enjoyed it. To help tame the heat, I paired it with a delicious Thai milk tea. It had that bold black tea flavor up front, sweetened with condensed and evaporated milk for a creamy, dreamy finish. Not only did it cool my tongue down, but it felt like a full body reset after that chili spice ambush. Mike tried the Chalong Pale Ale from Moon Brewery. It was a hoppy, slightly bitter craft beer that was right up his alley. Bold, crisp, and refreshing. He was definitely a fan. Khamin's breakfast buffet was absolutely loaded. We quickly discovered they switched things up daily. While a few staples stayed the same, the hot dishes rotated, which kept things exciting every morning. The variety was insane in the best way. There was a made-to-order egg station where you could pick your style and load it with toppings, plus insanely fluffy pancakes and waffles. These pancakes and waffles were super unique tasting to us. They had a rich yellow color and a subtle sweetness that made us wonder if banana was mixed into the batter. Beyond that, there were tons of fresh fruits, cereals, and different grain options like oatmeal and bagels. They also had a great selection of drinks. From juices to coffees and teas, everything tasted super fresh, and you could tell real care went into curating this beautiful spread. It truly had something for everyone, and we definitely went back for seconds, and maybe even thirds. On our next visit to Khamin for dinner, Mike went for another full moon beer, this time a wheat beer called Busaba. He said it was good, but he preferred the Chalong pale ale more. This one was just a bit lighter in flavor. For our appetizer, we tried the baked spinach, which honestly kind of confused us. It was loaded with flavor, super rich and delicious, but just basically melted cheese with spinach and spices served on its own. Eating melted cheese out of a bowl with a fork felt a little odd since there was nothing to pair it with. That said, it was very enjoyable. We just wish it came with some crackers or something to balance it out with. Mike and I kept it pretty simple for dinner this time around. He ordered the Diavola pizza again, but added some of that cheesy spinach on top. It made a nice flavor bomb that he really enjoyed. I went for the Thai take on a Hawaiian pizza, with no meat obviously, and the sweetness of the pineapple did a really great job at cutting down that oiliness. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say here, we just really enjoyed their spin on Western style pizzas. For dessert, we had our very first introduction to mango sticky rice. And wow, what a great start! Even though it wasn't mango season, the mangoes were incredibly juicy and full of flavor. Super yummy. We actually preferred the sticky rice without the coconut sauce since it added a little bit too much saltiness to an already nicely sweetened dish. We did try mango sticky rice at a few other places after this and noticed the coconut sauce really varies. Sometimes sweeter, sometimes saltier, depending on where you get it. It was fine in small amounts, but honestly, the juicy mango paired with sweet sticky rice on its own was absolutely delicious. We totally get why this treat is so famous now. Wow, thanks Mike, thanks for just letting a piece of rice stay on my cheek the entire time.
I didn't see it.
For one of our final meals, I kicked things off with a passion fruit flavored kombucha. Because if there's one thing I've learned while staying in Thailand, it's that I seem to love everything passion fruit flavored. Silly me forgot to gently mix the kombucha before pouring it, but I fixed that later. Even so, it was super refreshing and bursting with fresh, tangy flavors. A lovely light drink for a hot day. Mike got an Italian-style soda made with butterfly pea. We had a lot of butterfly pea while in Thailand, so he was curious to try it in soda form. It was sweet, zesty, and had a slight green tea-like taste. Really unique. I went with the Sum Tum Thai, a green papaya salad with long beans, dried shrimp, peanuts, and tomatoes. It sounded light and refreshing, which was something I was looking for, but unfortunately, I just did not enjoy this. The texture was a bit too tough, and the dried shrimp was extra chewy. Mike, on the other hand, copied me yet again and got the nice classic spaghetti dish with added chicken to his. Simple, spicy, and super tasty. Alright, that's a wrap on our dining experience at Khamin Restaurant at Villa Zolitude. Stay tuned for our final video where we dive into the resort itself and everything it has to offer. So see you in the next one!
Cool.